Well, hello and welcome to this week's A Photographic Life and another episode of the Proust Photo Quiz, in which a photographer takes on the Proust Questionnaire, a set of questions answered by the French writer Marcel Proust. Proust answered the questionnaire in a confession album, a form of parlour game popular at the end of the 1890s. This month we welcome Roger Ballen. Ballen was born in New York in 1950, but for nearly 40 years he has lived and worked in South Africa. It was his work as a geologist that took him into the countryside with his camera in 1981 to explore the hidden world of small South African towns. At first, he explored the empty streets in the glare of the midday sun, but once he made the step of knocking on people's doors, he discovered a world inside these houses which was to have a profound effect on his work. After 1994, he no longer looked to the countryside for his subject matter, finding it closer to home in Johannesburg. Over the past 35 years, his photography has evolved using a simple square format in stark black and white, a style he describes as documentary fiction. After 2000, the people he first discovered and documented living on the margins of South African society became a cast of characters working with Ballen in his series Outland, and subsequently Shadow Chamber. The line between fantasy and reality in his series Boarding House and Asylum of the Birds became increasingly blurred as he employed drawings, painting, collage and sculptural techniques to create elaborate sets. People were replaced by photographs of individuals now used as props, by doll or dummy parts, or where people did appear it was as disembodied hands, feet and mouths, poking disturbingly through walls and pieces of rag. The often improvised scenarios were completed by the unpredictable behaviour of animals, whose ambiguous behaviour became crucial to the overall meaning of the photographs. Ballen has made a number of short films, including the collaborative film I Think You Freaky, created for the band Die Antwoord in 2012, which has over 125 million hits on YouTube. He has also taken his work into the fields of sculpture and installation, including shows in Paris, Sydney, Australia and Finland, and with his installation at Le Rencontre des Halles, House of the Ballenesque, which was voted as one of the best exhibitions for 2017. In 2018, at the Wiesbaden Biennale, Germany, his installation, Roger Ballen's Bizarre, was created in an abandoned shopping centre. Ballen also made a related animated film, Theatre of Apparitions, which has been nominated for various awards. In September 2017, Thames Hudson published a large volume of his collected photography with extended commentary by Ballen titled Ballenesque Roger Ballen, a Retrospective, to accompany an exhibition of his work at Halle Saint-Pierre in Paris, which took over the entire space for more than a year, closing in January 2021. In 2020, Hatshek Hans published Roger the Rat, in which Ballen creates and documents a part human, part rat creature who lives an isolated life outside of mainstream society. Ballen has published over 25 books internationally, and his works are in more than 50 of the most important international museum collections. He still lives in Johannesburg, South Africa, and as you're about to hear, he is an individual thinker who challenged the very basis of pretty much every one of my questions. Well, Roger, what an absolute honour it is to have you on the podcast, I have to say. So thank you very much for taking on the questionnaire.
Pleasure. I'm very happy to speak to you, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, it really is going to be, I think, interesting. I'm going to start off with the first question, which is, what was school like for you?
Well, Now you're talking about a few years ago, not yesterday. So, I can remember nursery school, and there was grammar school, and there was high school, and there was college, and there was graduate school. So, geez, you know, I have different feelings when I look back upon school. I mean, especially high school, which in America was from 14 to 18 years old. I was in a very good private school and was very intense period. We had read a lot of literature, science was good, and it was very personal type of school. And I was very good in basketball and other athletics. So that was a big confidence booster to me. So when I left high school at age 18, I was quite well educated and felt confident about talking about a lot of things that a normal 18-year-old couldn't talk about. So that was positive. And then my undergraduate was University of California, Berkeley, and this was during the counterculture period. So that was a really intense, unique period in history of the 20th century. So this was, again, a very memorable period and left me with a lot of impact, had a big impact, I guess, in so many ways, being part of this counterculture movement. And then I did a PhD in geology later on, and that was good because I made a career out of that. And from that career, I was able to find a balance between being an artist and making a living. So I only have positive feelings about what I did.
That's good to hear. So when did you start to notice photography?
My mother worked in Magnum in the 60s in New York City. And she started one of the first photo galleries in the United States with a woman called Inga Bondi, who was in charge of Magnum for many years. And so they were the first person, for example, to show Henri Cortez. And, people like Cartier-Bresson, Elliot Erwitt, Bruce Davis, and all these people, and they were very friendly with my mother. And so they used to come to the house, the books and photos. My mother was passionately involved in what they were doing. And that rubbed off on me. So by the time I was 17 or 18, I could take good pictures.
Wow, what an education.
Yeah, no, it's clear. My father was an ordinary lawyer. I would have never in a million years thought about doing this in a million years.
So what is your most obvious characteristic?
Well, I don't know. I think I have a lot of characteristics, so it's always hard to say most. I think it's almost impossible because you think of one thing comes to your mind and then you switch to something else. But if we're thinking about photography, I think we should stick with photography rather than other things. I mean, I think I'm very passionate about it, very disciplined, it's part of my life. It's inseparable. Roger Ballen is inseparable from photography. Photography has been a diary for me. So it allows me to ponder the various essence of my life on the planet and try to make some sense of it. I'm not saying I have any answers to anything, but at least assist me in that process. And so I'm lucky. I have something that I have a profession that allows me to create introspection. And that most people can't do that. They block the introspection. Introspection gets blocked somewhere along the line and they end up spending half the life in a restaurant.
Okay, well, that's going to take me on to another question. What is your greatest extravagance?
I think the greatest extravagance I have is doing what I'm doing. Because most people can't do what they want to do. So I'm doing what I'm doing as an artist. And that's my greatest extravagance. I spent 55, 60 years doing what I'm doing and finding a way to do this. Most people give up. And most people don't dedicate their life to something that is deeply personally meaningful. So I think that's my greatest extravagance. I could have easily probably ended up on a beach in South Africa looking at the seagulls or practicing golf at this age.
Do you think that intensity of relationship with photography comes from the fact that it came to you from such a young age because of your mother?
Yeah, I think so. Well, she got me on the road. And then, somehow or another, when I started to take these pictures, it hit something inside, that was it. It lit something inside. So it's almost being addicted to it that, it's like as I said, it became inseparable from who I was. So it became an ongoing process to sort of find out more about the inner mechanism of my own mind, I guess. And this is a challenge. This is nobody expects to get the real answers to this, but leaves it helps you put together pieces of the puzzle, but you never get the whole thing done.
So what do you most value in your friends?
And my friends,
Yeah.
well, it's a good question. I think loyalty. If you look at this phone now, I got 15,000 contacts on this phone, and comes, how many do you ever hear from in a year? And usually it's sort of an interesting situation because you usually hear from people when they need something from you. 90% of the time, it's like an animal, a dog. A dog likes you because you feed him. So you hear, people, are they your friends? I don't know. It's in a relationship, but a real friend is somebody who has a loyalty and cares about you and there for you. And I think most people would, at my age, I'm 76 years old, would be able to count the amount of friends they have on one hand.
Okay. So what do you consider the most overrated virtue?
Of what?
Of anything, of life.
But the consumer lifestyle pursues as a virtue. That's the most overrated virtues. Because their false virtues are based on monetary value systems. So those virtues are all over the place. They're not real. They're inauthentic virtues, if you would use an existential word.
So what is your greatest fear?
Well, I think the greatest fear, everybody has the same greatest fear. It's everybody has the same thing. What's happening after life with death. So it's 99.999999% of the species that's the greatest fear. Same thing with animals. What is an animal spending its time doing? Trying to survive. Anybody who says anything differently is not in touch with themselves, because this is a biological issue. Oh, I don't separate light from dark. I mean, it's getting dark here now. Is that bad? I don't know. It's dark.
Do you like the darkness?
I don't separate the two. I'd rather drive home in the light. I like getting sun. I like the sun because it makes me feel good. But I like the moon too, by the way. So I'm not into this separation of dark. I think dark for most people means that they have a repressive block. So they call something dark because they can't deal with it psychologically. It's nothing to do with good or bad or anything. It's just their own psychological state of repressive, state of not coming to terms with life itself or themselves in some way. That's the way I see it after all these years. I wouldn't even doubt what I say 1%.
Okay, let's give some light. Which talent would you most like to have?
I like to be Superman.
Well, we've had previous people say they want to be God, so I can't see why Superman.
God is impossible to talk about.
But Superman isn't.
Yeah, at least we can look at Superman. Then we know his characteristics. God, we don't have any. God is an abstract concept.
So what is it about Superman that so appeals?
Because he can fly anywhere he wants. No, he doesn't have to go on airplanes. He's faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive. So if I want to get to England, I probably can get up there within a half an hour or so.
Okay.
From here. That would be great. If I can't be Superman, then in my next life, I want to be a bird. It has a Superman capability of not being shot at or killed by bullets from human beings. And then I can fly from place to place.
Well, you're the second person to say that they'd like to come back as a bird. So maybe there's...
Yeah, as long as you don't get shot.
Yeah. Okay. So which living person do you most admire?
None.
Okay. Which
Well,
person...
I'm not saying I don't admire people, but it's a general question. I mean,
yeah.
What living people do I admire? You can't ask the question. I've been around 76 years. Can't answer the question 99% of the people would pick somebody like, Gandhi or somebody that the media has pushed. I'm not prepared to do that. So I work with very basic people, and I like a lot of those people a lot better than celebrity heroes. So I think it's a bad question. It's a superficial question.
Okay. Well, let's see how many of the rest of the questionnaire questions you feel the same about. Let me try another one.
Please, I'm not attacking you at all. I'm just saying you have to be. I think it's very important for me to be able to answer things in a way that's meaningful, not in a lot of you read these questions and answers from people over the years, and most of it's like stupid answers. It doesn't have any value to them. Who's the most important? Oh, I love Einstein. But you never met Einstein. Oh, I love Obama. Yeah, but why do you love him? Have you ever met the guy? Did you ever go out to dinner with the guy? What are you talking about?
What is your most treasured possession?
Nothing. The only treasured possessions are things like there's toys in the back. But I have hundreds and hundreds or thousands of these things. I go to flea markets and things, so I don't have a most. I mean, if you look at this thing here, I bought this a couple of weeks ago. I like him. He's cool.
He's like a little spinning clown.
Yeah, this is great, though. I love him. But is he my most favorite? I don't know what my most favorite is. I have thousands of things. I don't know what's the most. I don't have most.
Okay, I'm going to remove.
I don't have any most.
I'm going to remove most from any other question.
I don't have most. I don't have anything most. Because it's too quick to think about it. I don't have most, and it could change in 1 minute when I get off the phone.
Okay, is there a historical figure that you could identify with?
No, because I don't know any of them. Why should I identify with them? Because I only see them through books or movies, so why should I identify with them? I don't know them. I identify with sun. I identify with cloud. I identify with tree. I like them. I don't know the people that you want me to identify with.
I don't want you to identify with anybody, but I think it's very interesting.
I don't want to identify with historical figures because I don't know them.
Would you count Superman as a historical figure?
Yeah, but he's a fantasy figure.
Okay. So where did the love...
He's a joke. I'm making a joke out of Superman. Yeah. But I'm not, I just a joke. It's not, but I mean, I can't say I would love Julius Caesar because I don't know Julius Caesar. I can't say that I like Plato. I just read his philosophy. I don't know the person. I like his philosophy.
So where did the love for toys come from? Or collecting, where does that come from?
Well, I've been doing this for years. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I collect a lot of things. So I have a lot of big collections but I get things that are old, part of a history, born out of it. So I like that type of thing for me personally, but it doesn't mean that I don't like a modern piece of art or a modern building. But I mean, so you're looking at like 1,000th of my collection on the TV screen here now. But I mean, this is not just my only collection here. I have a museum here. There's all sorts of stuff. So there's two ways of collecting. One is collecting for the purpose of selling something. So you might collect certain photographer and collect it, and that's why you get it, because you want to be collecting a historical figure. And the others collecting things like these toys, which have a sort of nostalgia. I get a nostalgia from them. I wouldn't get a nostalgia from some of the other things I collect, but I would buy them maybe because I can use them in a photo, or they're part of something else. But usually the things I collect, I use in my photographs. They have a utilitarian purpose. There's a lot of things last night I went to this big auction thing. I didn't buy anything. They had beautiful things, but I wouldn't buy anything unless I needed it in my house. I wouldn't buy any things because none of those things fit into my work. So they wouldn't have any meaning for me other than a utilitarian purpose in my office or my house. So there's a separation between what I would buy for practical purposes and for something that I use in my own artwork that has some sort of deeper psychological, I have some sort of deeper psychological relationship with like toys. I mean, anybody can understand why an adult man would like to look at toys. It brings back some sense of nostalgia or youth. It's understandable. It's an easy concept to understand.
Okay, so I'm going to return to the questionnaire. I'm going to see how it goes. Are there any words or phrases that you overuse?
No. I mean, I don't know. I tell you the truth. I mean, in my general life, I mean, general lifestyle, it's a good question. Again, I think about it. What would I say normally? To be honest, I can't think of anything.
You don't have to. That's absolutely fine.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Grant. Sometimes the brain cells don't, something can come up at night, tomorrow, 10 years' time. So for some mysterious reason, the brain cell can't figure that one out.
You can always get back to me. What do you consider, or do you consider that you have any great achievements, either with your work or in life?
Well, again, the simplistic thing would be that I would achieve some notoriety in my art. I think that's, from that point of view, that would be true. And I guess then if you start to look at other things, you know, I've given a lot to a lot of people over the years, you know, whether it's been in my work or in this museum or helping people in different ways, but I can't measure any of those things. You know, person X, I might have helped go to school, but maybe he's a failure now. Person Y, I helped go to the hospital because of certain reasons, and then they became an alcoholic later. I can't, it's very difficult, again, to answer the question because I've dealt with thousands of people over the years, and I would just, from a general answer, would be just the biggest contribution I've made to society, to humanity, has been through the photographs. I can't think of anything more than that. I mean, as I said, I've influenced sundry individuals, but they've been individual cases rather than as a group generally. So I can't come up with any other answer.
And do you feel that your work stands outside of the canon of photography, the kind of work that
definitely
is being done?
Definitely. Yeah. That's why they call it Ballen-esque.
Yeah.
It has a unique aesthetic to it. And it's not documentary. You know, I've been doing this, as I said, I mean, since the 60s. So I went through documentary stages beginning about 96, 97. I started to develop my own aesthetic, the viewpoint. And that's been developed and developed and developed. So I think, you know, what I do is recognizable as a photographic artist. So most people in photography are involved in some sort of documentation. This is, if you wanted to call this documentation, it's documentation of the primal mind, which is not visible.
And is it possible to make that work outside of South Africa, do you think?
No, I can do it anywhere. Nothing to do with South Africa. It's to do with my mindset. And so if on occasion I build installations, I have exhibitions in XYZ, and then I go there and make an installation which feels like a Roger Ballen room or something. And I could take pictures in there if I wanted. So it has nothing to do with South Africa. It has nothing really, you know, don't want to say nothing because I have a lot of things that work here for me, where there's people I work with where, you know, it's a lot of things I put together that makes things happen. I couldn't walk into the place you are right now and take a great picture. I couldn't do it. There's so many little pieces that I put together here in South Africa to make these things happen. And you know, that's why I'm always thankful to the country in a lot of ways, because, you know, it's whatever the pluses and minuses are of the country, at least I've been able to achieve certain things here that I might not have been able to achieve anywhere else. But it's been a long history. It didn't start with Ballen-esque. It started with documentation, and the country started. Before that, it started a 5-year hitchhiking around the world doing Boyhood. And before that, it started with my mother. So, you know, it's not just you know, it's So I really feel that I've created a unique aesthetic in photography.
Is it a very internal dialogue?
Yeah, it's all internal. I wouldn't do it I'm not a documentary photographer. I'm not interested in a political, social, economic photographer. I'm not interested in that. There are a lot of people better than me doing that, and it doesn't help me understand anything. I can read the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, or the Economist, and learn more about the world's cultural, political problems than I can through taking a picture of somebody on the street with a begging. So, it's purely an internal process.
And is that very difficult then if somebody asks you to teach them photography or to?
No, I do this occasionally once a year, and it's not easy to take these type of pictures, but a lot of people are very inspired by what I do. And, I tell them what I do. We go out and take pictures, and, then they try to emulate me. But, it's like Picasso taught a course of Francis Bacon for 3 days on how to paint it. I'm not going to walk out and become as good as Francis Bacon or Picasso. So I help them get on the road, and they come to the class or looked at my book because they identify with it, and then hopefully it sets them on a path that they need. But they have their own identity, I'm mine, and nobody's the same. So where I go left, they'll go right, and vice versa. So I can't become Picasso. I can't become any other artist. I guess I can become a minor artist. Somebody's taking pictures of I don't know what, a Coke bottle all day.
Do you think people understand that, what you're saying, and that understanding of your work? Do you think it's...
Well, I think they implicitly understand it psychologically. That's why I become well known, because they remember what I see. It doesn't mean they can put it into words. And if they put it into words, for me, it's probably a bad photograph anyway. So when they look at their mind implicitly understands the relationships and has some sort of psychological impact. How you define that, I can't say. It's the same thing when I look at my own work. I can't say it's about this or it's about that. It feels like it got into the subconscious or silent mind, primal mind. The primal mind is identifying with it and implicitly understands the meaning of it, just like just like when you think about your own dreams, you sort of think there's something uncanny about it. So there's something uncanny about these pictures. And so it's like looking at your own dreams in some way or another. So you see the meanings, but you can't really decipher every element to it, unlike a documentary photograph.
So it's okay not to get the answers.
Yeah, but what are the answers? If I want to open a Coke bottle, I just get a can opener. There are answers to the basic thing. The deeper answers to human existence, to why there are no answers. There can't be any answers. What are your answers? No, there are no answers. That's why we started the conversation. What do you fear most? Most people fear the fact that no answers. That's the fundamental issue. No answers to what? What are your answers? Are you going to sleep well tonight? I don't know. What should I do about aging? I don't know. What should I do about some of the people I know aren't well? I don't know. What's going to happen to me in 5 years' time? I don't know. What's going on in the world? I don't know. What am I here for? I don't know. What do you know then? You don't know can you even prove that you exist? Prove that even.
In a world where everybody wants an answer, it's...
Well, that's the problem. It's an evasive situation. It's very interesting with this AI. AI is very amazing in a lot of ways, but it doesn't solve any of your fundamental, deeper problems. It just is it's a way of organizing certain facts around you in certain ways in a better way than you can do as a human, but it's just words on a piece of paper. That's all it is.
So it's a quick fix that doesn't fix anything.
Solve anything.
I'm going to ask you one more question from the questionnaire. What or do you have a motto of any kind to live by?
Did you ever get the Ballen book?
Yeah.
Read the last words of Ballen. You can't beat life.
It's about as clear as it can be, isn't it?
No, it can't be one.
And I always believe that any motto that can be reduced down to 3 words has got to have something going for it. There's a certain straightforwardness to it. When you're making your work and you're telling the stories and the narrative, you've spoken a lot about there not being answers, but are you telling the story to try and find an answer for yourself, or are you just putting the story out
The
there
bits and
for others?
pieces, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're basically trying to create some sort of, it's a good question. I don't like working answers though, because there are no the answers. There are bits and pieces, little bits of light that come into the sky. It's another star in the sky. So they're bits and pieces of answers, or bits and pieces of truth, or bits and pieces of things that are meaningful to you. And that's what they are. They're bits and pieces. There's no one thing. I think everybody's looking for this one thing. That's why I guess certain religions were invented. They created these one things, but it isn't that way.
Are there other storytellers, either with words or with film or with pictures, who you look to, you think are traveling or have traveled a similar road?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, a lot of this all happened when I was younger. I read a lot of the philosophers, from Heidegger to Kant to Sartre to this one to that one. Yeah. Then Beckett. I think Beckett probably played quite a strong role in what I do, because if you look at the type of pictures and the type of issues he brings up, I would say Beckett had some impact on me. If I had to say it, in the field of literature and philosophy, Beckett meant somebody had played a big role. I think Heidegger might have, when I was younger, played a big role. I don't know. I've read a lot of when I was younger. I mean, I think they all came together, but I mean, in the end of the day, I don't need to look at artworks to create art anymore. It doesn't help me that if I go to the Venice Biennale and then come back here, it's not going to help me one drop. I still got to create what I'm going to create, and it requires objects, it requires putting things together. So in photography, it wouldn't help me very much. So I mean, I'm at the point where I think the biggest inspiration to what I do comes from doing the work. So I have two inspirations: doing my own work, and anything in nature is totally inspiring. So nature is inspiring. I have no doubts about that. I never can criticize nature. And then what I do is inspiring. Those are the two most important roads that I aspire to.
Roger, I think that's a really nice place to leave it.
Oh, well, yeah, well, nature's a good place to leave it. That's a good place. So you think about God, just look up at the sun.
I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's been
No, I enjoyed this. Actually, it was good because most people ask me the same questions and over again, and I haven't answered a questionnaire via a Zoom call for years and years and years. They sometimes ask me 5 questions, 10 questions to write down, and what's your favorite musician or what's your favorite food and this sort of thing. But I was very interesting. I enjoyed talking to you.
And I enjoyed talking to you as well. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and take care.
I hope you enjoyed this month's episode of the Proustian quiz. It takes so many different forms. It's not just a question of giving some questions and not listening to the answers. I think you'll agree, Roger gave us lots of food for thought there. And in the meantime, until next week's episode, of course, take care.